about 5.5 tons each. And we'll leave those elephants in the room for a minute. I'm now going to do a quiz with you. I want you to pop your hand up if, wherever you live, you can put this item in the curbside recycling. A crisp packet, a receipt, a coffee cup, a piece of cling film, and a toothbrush. So I saw a few nervous hands there. So you probably got what I'm trying to get at with that quiz. None of those items can go in the curbside recycling. In order to be recycled, they need to be sent off to a specialist recycling plant. If they don't get there, they'll go to landfill. In the UK, only 9% of all of our plastics are actually recycled. And when they are recycled, they're downcycled into a lesser version of themselves. Now, it's facts like this that started me on my zero-waste journey. Remember those 2 elephants? Well, they represent the size of waste that I've managed to save from going to landfill by living a zero-waste life for 2 years and 4 months. I'm Charlotte, and together with my friend Anna, I blog about my experience of zero-waste living. We've managed to refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and rot every piece of waste we've come into contact with, meaning we're sending virtually nothing to landfill every single day. At the start of 2017, we came up with a New Year's resolution. We'd do a full year waste-free. I remember us imagining all the waste we'd ever produced up until that point being sat in a landfill with flies all around it. And then imagining that that waste could just easily be windswept to be amongst the fish in the sea. And then we learnt that that waste could take up to 450 years to biodegrade. And if it had plastic in it, it may never disappear. And honestly, we started to feel sick. Come mid-January, we realized quite how hard living zero waste really was. We needed to use small changes to give us the momentum we needed to make bigger changes. Our smaller changes involved things like taking a tote bag, bringing a bottle, and simply saying no to a straw at a bar. And our bigger changes were things like figuring out what clothes we could wear now. Could we still wear makeup? And how would we shop for food without creating any waste? We found that by planning ahead, making our own, or simply going without, we could navigate ourselves around most of life's obstacles. At the start of my zero-waste journey, I added myself to a lot of online forums. I wanted to learn from people who were already living zero waste really well. I remember this one woman in particular who was trying to weigh up the benefits between a bamboo toothbrush, which looks super eco-friendly, and her rechargeable toothbrush, which she already owned. Now, the bamboo toothbrush could be composted at the end of its life if you just remove the bristles. But in order to get to her, she needed to have it shipped in from another country and delivered directly to her door. However, she already owned the rechargeable toothbrush, but that's plastic, and plastic's bad, right? I'd never seen a bamboo toothbrush before, and I thought, wow, how pretty. So I immediately bought myself one. Later on, I checked back on the forum, and practically everyone was saying, make do with what you've got already, and then when you need to make a purchase, really think about whether it's worthwhile. It was like I'd fallen at the first hurdle, and it was a pretty toothbrush. I got a text from a friend, and she told me that she bought herself a solid shampoo bar. Solid shampoos are great. They're the equivalent of 3 chemical shampoo bottles, and when they're fully used, they dissolve into zero waste. When I next saw her, she had a sheepish look on her face, as she admitted to me that that morning she'd gone back to using her chemical shampoo. That's something I love about being a hardcore zero waster. People love to confess their wasteful sins to you to get it off their shoulders. Quietly, I often get asked whether I use a menstrual cup and toilet paper still. And the answer is yes to both of them. But don't worry, my toilet paper comes from a sustainable source, and it's wrapped in paper. And that paper is used to collect excess moisture from my wormery, When I was writing this talk, I was asking friends and family what the weirder things I used to do back at the start of my zero waste journey was, that people outside of my eco bubble would think were really weird. I was on holiday with my boyfriend when I asked him this question, and he said, well, you've kept the same cup for the last 4 days to make sure it's not single use, and you made us walk a really long way so you could bury your fruit peelings in a bush for them to decompose, and that's just been today. And it's true, I've done a fair few weird things in the name of zero waste over the years. From baking a banana peel cake, to burning an almond into charcoal to make mascara, to picking nettles for a nettle soup. But what I've learned over the time is that there's no right or wrong way to be lowering your waste. You don't have to be eating nettle soup. I dedicate my life to supporting individuals, businesses, and schools to lower their waste because I felt firsthand the joys that zero waste living can bring, from saving the planet, eating better, and saving money. But I've also felt the frustration that everything I'm doing is just a tiny drop in a vast ocean, and that ocean is filling with plastic. And when people feel like this, I like to remind them that it's okay to approach zero waste at the correct pace for them, using the resources that they have available for them. For me, I have no dependents, and I come from a privileged background, so zero waste changes were relatively easy. Now, if you're someone who wants to start lowering their waste, I'd suggest approaching it as you would any other habit you're trying to change. Take stock at what you're really good at. Set yourself goals in areas you want to improve in, but make sure those goals push you out of your comfort zone. For me, I'm always out of my comfort zone when I take a Tupperware box to a cafe or a restaurant and have to explain why I want my food in that box. And the final tip is to have an accountability partner. So for me, that was Anna. I got a frantic text off her one day, and she told me she'd just been into a cafe. She'd given them her reusable mug and watched in horror as they made her drink in a disposable cup and pour it into her reusable cup and throw away the disposable one. That's not what I wanted to happen at all, she said to me. But on reflection, she knew exactly what she needed to ask for next time. If you're already on your zero waste journey, congratulations. Can I just remind you that it's totally okay to be making small changes, sporadic changes, or sometimes stop if you need to put your own mental health first. Because if we combine your changes with my changes and everybody else's small changes, we're making a huge shift towards a zero waste world. Thank you.